Hello, in today's video I'm finally going to talk about adrenal fatigue, what it is, what it looks like, how to tell if you have it, and also the different stages of it. So if you have been suspecting that perhaps your adrenals are not performing up to par, then you'll probably find this video very interesting. I had some adrenal issues in the past, and so this topic is really very close to my heart, and I really hope that it will help a lot of you if you're struggling. So let's get started. So adrenals are tiny glands that sit right on top of your kidneys, and they're responsible for your response to stress. So it produces all kinds of stress hormones, but it also produces some of your sex hormones like progesterone, and they also control the balance of electrolytes in your blood, so things like potassium, sodium, and even magnesium, and so on and so forth. So they are very powerful, very important for us, but unfortunately sometimes when we are having too much stress or there are lots of other causes, they just get fatigued. That's where the term adrenal fatigue comes into play. It's called adrenal fatigue because adrenals supposedly get fatigued, but they don't really get fatigued. They can be underactive, they can be overactive, or they can simply be getting wrong signals from the brain, but they don't get tired per se. Also, you could interpret the term adrenal fatigue as you getting fatigued, because overwhelming fatigue is one of the main signs of adrenal fatigue. This term was created by a doctor called Dr. Wilson a few decades ago, and he's still the leading doctor, the leading medical professional in this field. I highly recommend his book called Adrenal Fatigue, the 21st Century Syndrome. I think that's what it's called, and I'll link to it down in the description box. It has everything you need to know about adrenal health, and it helped me a lot in my own journey. So there might be a lot of controversy about whether the term adrenal fatigue is right to use, but it doesn't change the fact that adrenal issues are so common among people in the 21st century, especially among women. And that's why I really think we should talk more about this topic. Unfortunately, if you go to your doctor and try to ask whether you have adrenal fatigue or try to ask for tests, they will look at you as if you had two heads, because they've never heard of anything like that. Adrenal fatigue is not taught in medical schools. There are no proper medical tests that they would like to do to diagnose it until it's really too late. So you really have to take it into your own hands and educate yourself, and then hopefully educate your doctor as well if he or she is willing to be educated about it. So adrenal fatigue can go in a lot of different ways. For some people, they will get a really stressful period in their life, and then the adrenals will crash, and that's it, they will never recover. So probably they had really weak constitution, really weak adrenals from the start, from the birth. Perhaps they inherited it from their parents. For other people, they can go through a lot of stress, and then when things calm down, their adrenals are able to recover, and then they have another period of stress and their adrenals get really tired again, and then they recover again. So they go through these stressful periods and recovery periods, sometimes even indefinitely. For some people, with each of these cycles, they get weaker, adrenals get weaker and weaker until they get proper adrenal fatigue. For some people, they're so strong that no matter what, no matter how much stress they have, the adrenals never ever get fatigued. They never have any kind of adrenal issues. Lucky them. And as I said just a minute ago, weak adrenals can actually be inherited from your mom, which is also my case. So as I said earlier on, unfortunately, traditional medical system doesn't acknowledge the existence of adrenal fatigue, which is a real shame because so many people suffer from it. And the traditional methods of testing, blood cortisol levels, only show really serious diseases like Addison's disease or Cushing's disease, which are the two extremes when if you don't interfere, if you don't give people medications, they will just die. But they don't really diagnose anything in between, which is where adrenal fatigue falls. So if you are willing to test for adrenal fatigue, the best thing to do is to get a saliva cortisol test, and that will be very accurate, and you'll see clearly what your cortisol is doing throughout the day, so you'll know whether your adrenals are struggling or not. And I did it myself. I made a video about it. I made a video about the results, so I'll try to link it somewhere here for you. And I found out that my cortisol is too high in the morning, but watch that video, you will find out all you want to know about my particular test results, but the test doesn't really cost them much and it really is very, very informative. There are also a few home tests that you can do to test your adrenal function, but it's out of the scope of this video, so I'll make a separate video with a few different do-it-yourself ways to check your adrenal health at home, so keep an eye out for that. Now let's talk about the stages of adrenal fatigue. So there are 3 different stages. It actually depends on the scientist, on the doctor. There are lots of different ways of staging this disorder, but according to Dr. Wilson, there are 3 stages. The first stage is called fight and flight. So whether it's a tiger chasing you or your boss having a go at you, you're going to have extreme stress for a while, where your body will release all kinds of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol and lots of others, in order for you to deal with the stressor in a better way, whether it's running away from it or fighting it, or perhaps dealing with your boss in the right way. So that's fine. It actually makes us stronger. It's makes us humans, and it's totally fine to go through stress like this. So if you're a totally normal person with very strong adrenals, you can react to stress properly straight away, and these kind of stressful moments don't faze you. But if your adrenals are already getting weaker, and if you have the stage 1, then after each of these super stressful periods, you'll need around 2 days to recover, and you'll notice that during those 2 days you're more tired than usual, and also it will be much more difficult for you to deal with stress. So that's stage 1. Now stage 2 is resistance, when the stress has been going for a while, and so now your cortisol is elevated long term, not just during the stressful periods but all the time. And this is where I was when I took the test. So at this point your body is really struggling to deal with the stress, and is coping with it by increasing cortisol permanently, because cortisol gives you more energy and it keeps you going for longer, gives you more stamina. So that's why the body is resisting stress in this way. Also, if you test your sodium and potassium levels in your blood at that time, you'll find that your sodium is high and your potassium is low, and that's exactly what happened with my case. So that's stage 2, and then stage 3 is the last stage, the worst one, where your adrenals are properly fatigued. They can't produce enough cortisol anymore, and most of your functions shut down. You're totally tired. In most cases you can't even work or function normally, so it's really not a good stage to be in. And at this point, if you do electrolyte test for potassium and sodium, you'll find that your sodium is low and your potassium is high, so it's completely changed from stage 2. So these are the 3 stages, and I'm not here to scare you. Even if you're in stage 3, you can still recover. All of these stages can definitely be recovered from. It's just good to know where you're at, so it's always good to know where you're starting from. Now let's talk about the signs of low or high cortisol, or in other words, adrenal fatigue. So the symptoms of both high and low cortisol are actually so similar that without the actual test, it's impossible to guess. And I'm saying that from my own experience, because I try to guess it and I guess it wrong, because honestly, you can't guess it. Just take the test. But if you're wondering what adrenal fatigue looks like, here are the symptoms. So you'll have things like backaches and headaches, muscle weakness, not sleeping well. Even if you sleep well, you get up still tired, gaining or losing weight, depression, because high cortisol suppresses serotonin, which is the happiness hormone. You catch colds and other infections easily, dizziness, weakness, craving for salty food, low sex drive, inability to cope with stress, random adrenaline surges, and I used to have these so bad when my adrenals were really weak, social anxiety, sensitive skin, nausea, dark circles under the eyes, anxiety and jitters, digestion issues, and heart palpitations. And these are not all the symptoms. There might be some more, but these are just the main ones. So if you have any of these, definitely try to look into your adrenal health. In the past, I made a video about how to reduce high cortisol levels, because that's what was my case, what was the most important thing for me. So I wanted to share my strategy with you. But in the next few weeks, I'm also going to share with you how to increase low cortisol levels, also what the causes for adrenal issues or adrenal fatigue are, and also the very interesting connection between high histamine, estrogen dominance, hypothyroidism, and also cortisol, high cortisol. I'm also going to share all the different herbs and adaptogens that can help with high stress and adrenal issues. So definitely look out for this. It's going to be like a mini series, I guess, because I really want to completely finish this topic before moving on to the next one. So I hope that you're going to enjoy it, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.